Let's learn about the various ways that students can sign in to AccuTrack or AccuSQL. Now this would be students that are coming in typically to the front of a center and they're swiping their card or entering their ID in order to select the reason that they're here. So I'll go in as an administrator and then I'm going to go to Sign In Setup, and then Activity Screen Options. Okay, starting at the lowest level and working my way up, I'm going to check the box that says Do Not Show Activity Screen at Sign In. If I check that box, that means that we're merely logging the time the student's coming in and leaving and nothing else. So a student comes in, they're signed in. Another student comes in, they're signed in. Okay, student 1 is through, they sign out. Now I've got a survey running, which you may or may not have. That student is signed out. The next student signs out. They get the same survey, which you obviously can turn off, and that's it. Okay, now we're going to build on that. So the next thing I'm going to show you is how you can have a student pick a category and activity. Now again, here in Sign In Setup Categories and Activities, these are the various items, the active ones, that my students can sign into. Okay, so I'll now go to Setup, and I'll uncheck the Do Not Show box. Now I'm not picking anything else here, okay, and then I am not having them pick a tutor. Okay, so they're merely picking the category and the activity that they're signing in for. Here comes the student, late media, and then I see a representation of all my categories with the activities that appear underneath them. Okay, I sign into something, and I'm in. Okay, next student goes through the same process over and over and over again. Okay, now let's go another level, Sign In Setup, Activity Screen, and this time I'm going to show my instructors and my service types. Now let's talk about these two. Okay, instructors are attached to activities. So these are the professors that would teach a class. If I go through these different classes, you can see I've got a list of instructors, of professors for each of those classes that teach that class. Okay, now that can be handled through an import, so you can assign the professor or professors to the class at the time you import your activities, or you could manually go in there and add them. In Sign In Setup Service, these are service types or services. Now I can assign those to different local labs, but these are the various services that the student's coming in for. Okay, so now returning to sign-in screen, as you can see, my student can now pick the category, the activity, the service type, and the professor that teaches the class. They sign in and they're on their merry way. Okay, now we're going to continue to build. Now what I'd like to do, I don't know who's in and who's not in, so I'm going to go ahead and sign all my students out right now. Okay, so my list is cleared. But back into Sign In Setup. Okay, now we're going to talk about what we need to have tutors appear when students sign in. Again, that's under Tutor Selection Screen Options. I'm now going to show my tutor selection screen. Okay, there's 2 bits of information that I'll need here for the tutor to show up, and that's under User, Tutors. Okay, the first thing we need is for the tutor to have the activity assigned to them that the student's signing in for. So in this case, I'm picking Cindy Bright. She's obviously a math tutor, so if my student comes in and picks a math class, Cindy Bright will be available to tutor in that class. Okay. The next thing my tutor would need would be Tutor Schedules. Now there is a way to bypass schedules entirely. I guess I should show you that real quickly here. Sign In Setup, Tutor Selection, and it says Tutor List includes all tutors assigned to an activity regardless of their availability. Okay, if I check that box, I'm basically saying I don't really care about tutor schedules. I only care that the tutor has the activity assigned to them. Okay, now if you leave that box unchecked, then you can go on Tutor Schedules here, And Cindy Bright, in this case, she has a regular now till the end of the semester schedule, indicates that she's working from 8 o'clock till 7 o'clock. So if a student now signs in and picks a math course, then Cindy Bright will show up in my list. Now, it may be Cindy Bright and others, and there are several others. That means all of these various tutors meet the same conditions. They're math tutors, and their schedule indicates that they're currently available. They're at work. Okay? Now we're going to go one step further here. And as you saw, now let me return to it, sorry, just so you can see here. As you can see when I sign in here, I'm seeing all of the various courses. So see, course tutoring is showing me a big long list of courses, so is English and math. Okay, but we can have students only show to students, I guess I should say, the courses that they're registered for. Okay, and we do that again in Sign In Setup, Activity Screen Options, and right here it says only show registered activities in the activity screen. Okay, now what does that mean? Well, it means that students are registered for certain classes this semester, usually via import. I would recommend that. But if I go look at my various classes here, I've got a whole bunch of people registered for that. So here's a good one, College Algebra Lab. These are the students that will see College Algebra Lab when they sign in because they have that assigned to them. Here's my trig students. Here's my another college trig. So as you can see, these are the registered students for these classes. Okay. Now, it's not only registered classes, but there's another option I want to show you here. Computer usage is a good one. Okay. Now I have this. Actually, I'm sorry, let's make it counseling. Okay, this is good because computer usage is not active. But counseling here, I've got academic counseling and personal counseling. Now, students don't have to be registered for that class, but these items will show up in the pick list because right here I have the checkbox selected that says global registration. So that means show to any student whether or not they're registered for that activity. Okay, so I'll sign in again as a student. And now I'm seeing my global activity for academic and personal counseling. Course tutoring, well, it's a whole lot less because David, in this case, is registered for anatomy and physiology and U.S. history. My English classes, I only have the one English Comp 2, and math classes, I have Algebra, Algebra Lab, and Pre-Calc. Okay, so that's how you can limit to only registered classes and global activities. Okay. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is, let's say that we have a computer where you want a student to go run reports to see their appointments, for example, run reports for their visits to the center. You want the station to enable them to schedule appointments, do everything except let them sign into the center. Okay, now I can do that very easily with one box here. Let's see if I can find it. Okay, here it is. Sorry about that. Okay, it's under System. Now under System Setup, I have System Options. Okay, and right here is what I'm talking about. This station is an information-only station. Okay, so that's how I can set it to enable students to run reports, schedule appointments, etc., do everything but sign in. So what do I mean by that? Well, from my student pad, for example, I can run reports as David. I can answer surveys, message tutors, so do all the things that I enable students to be able to do, schedule an appointment. However, if I sign in with that ID, well, it says workstation is reserved as information-only terminal, and you can see I've got a message indicating that as well. Okay, so let's go turn that back off real quick. Okay, Now the next thing, or last thing I should say I'm going to show you, is how to lock a station to a particular set of activities, categories, activities, tutors, service types, tutors themselves. All of that is right here under lock the selection on sign-in. So implicitly, if I lock an activity, it'll know what category to attach it to. But let's say I want to lock this to, I don't know, how about academic coaching, for example. Okay, I can lock it to a particular professor if I'd like to, a particular service type, or even a particular tutor. Okay, now when I save this and return to sign in, you'll see how it shows the locks. 1 second. Let me log in as a student. Okay, so I did not lock my category and let's go back and look at it. Okay, so I'm going to lock it to a particular activity, a particular service, and a particular tutor here. Back to sign in. So now if I sign in as a student, you'll see now I've locked my category to advising, my service type to required hours, activities locked to academic coaching. Now I didn't lock instructor, and then I did lock tutor, so it didn't even ask me the tutor because I had that locked to Cindy Bright. Okay. Now, just to show you, and I cover this a lot more in another video, I have the capacity to assign these activities to different local labs. Okay, so let's look at academic use or math maybe is a good example. Okay, basic math. Let's look at that. See how I have this lab math? Just to show you that, when I go to sign in setup, that I can have different rules, like in my default lab here, for example, I'm saying show instructor, show service type, show registered activities. But then if I change now to my math lab, then I can have different rules. Okay, so I could lock my category. Now let's set these to none for now. Okay, but I'm going to lock my category to math classes is a good example. Okay. Okay, I go back to my sign-in screen. Now it says, oh, I didn't have welcome to math lab. That's fine. Oh, and I didn't change my local lab. I'm sorry. Okay, so now let's actually set the local lab to the math lab, okay? And it will behave now the way the math local lab computer should. Okay, I return to my sign-in screen. It says welcome to the math lab. I enter an ID. And now I've locked my category to math classes, and I'm only seeing math classes. Okay, I don't have any tutor selection picked, no service type, no instructor. Actually, I'm sorry, I do have a tutor selection. But now he's signed in. Okay, so that's how all that works for what you have students pick when they sign into the center. Okay, thank you.